We are looking at number 5 in our views of Grapeville, Pennsylvania. During the time when artists were working there, and then we'll see what happened when the artists moved out. It's Diane Smith who did welded sculpture. If you wonder why her knees are red, she used to like to do welding without wearing shorts, which probably not a good thing. This is another piece she did in the gallery. A lot of nice gallery space. That's her downstairs walking past one of her welded steel constructions. This is more of the gallery. A lot of good gallery space there. That was Gabrielle in another corner of the gallery. She was an architect and did paintings that recalled Joseph Albers. That was a painting I did of her up on the roof. Some translucent type of paintings that she did with my friend Barney standing there looking around. And another one. It's painting and the person depicted, some three-dimensional stuff. Being an architect, she naturally worked in three-dimensional things also. Another corner of the gallery looking out on the courtyard. Down in the midsection with some pieces someone was working on. That's a print I did in the midsection. Midsection was for finishing glasswork when the place was in business. This was a corner of the gallery set up for a show. These pieces were done by Paul Warhola, Andy Warhol's brother. That was the space of one of the artists who lived there, space where Chris lived and worked. Jim Barkley was on our board of directors, and he was checking out a piece at one of the shows we had there. We had a number of shows. Another artist lived in this area. He lived and worked there. That's a painting I did myself and my dog Barney. I'd been doing this kind of work. I called it photo expressionism. And to my great surprise, I started doing stuff like this when I lived at the factory. It's a good example of how environment changes a person's artwork. I had not done stuff like this previously. I was working on glass palettes, a number of them put together, and there was a lot of paint left there in the factory. Now, this was a fellow from Ohio, Tim Hildebrand, who was exhibiting these pieces in the boardroom. Good example of the aesthetics of utility. These objects, chairs actually, and had silk-screened backs on them. Keith McManus from West Virginia did this. It was exhibited in the courtyard. And this tells the story of how when the factory was working, they had people sitting around painting then. These guys were artists who decorated glasswork. And I would find glasswork in the factory, mostly broken pieces, and put it on the window, put it on windows to be a reminder of what happened there once upon a time. You can see some of it here. Often one picture says more than 1,000 words about a subject. And these tell the story of what was done there over the years. They weren't making window glass, they were making tableware and various utilitarian objects. And we had visitors sometimes. It was nice to have visitors. People enjoyed the place. It was a fascinating area. It was really a museum, an in-place museum to the pressed glass industry, the old pot glass operations. Bob Fenton was president of the Mainline Works Corporation. It was a corporation I set up to manage the project. This was in my studio. Maybe we were talking about that painting. This is another one of these non-objective pieces I made. And these spools were from roofing material, which I had been putting on. The place needed a lot of work. Another one, non-objective piece on a glass palette. There were many found objects, like the stencils and paint, all kinds of stuff. This is about 4 glass palettes put together. And here we begin to talk about destruction, sad to say. The owner of the plant absolutely refused to talk to the township officials about compliance with code. And I told the man, I said, you know, if you continue to own this place, you're going to destroy it. And that's the condition it's in now. This was not the owner. This was Charlie West Wilson, who was writing a book about the plant. Charlie descends from the original owners. His grandfather, Charles Howard West, was the one of the 2 brothers who founded the plant. And when the owner refused to talk to the township officials, it was shut down by court order. Myself and the mainline works moved out, and the arsonists moved in. The place has been torched probably 4 or 5 times now. A refrain that keeps going through my mind when I see something like this is, stupid people always destroy what smart people create. It reminds me of the guy who calls himself president now, who goes around destroying things he doesn't understand. This area right in here, this level right here was the floor level of the area where I lived and worked. It was a great workspace, living space, and it's just trash now. That refrain keeps going through my head when I see this. Stupid people always destroy what smart people create. People worked for a long time building this plant. It was founded in 1889. And when one person comes along, and through his carelessness and negligence, it's just turned into a pile of trash. I mean, an interesting ruin, but no longer what it was, no longer useful as anything. It had been left as an in-place museum to the glass industry, actually, and a great place for artists to work. And now that's what it is. It's a sad story, not a story that's easy to tell. I hate to see things like this. But sometimes we can learn from stupid things. Learn how to take care of things. That's enough for now.